Hey guys, what's up? It's Eli. I'm here with Carlos with BJJ Physio, and we've been having lots of different conversations. We're collaborating on a series of videos about injuries sustained specifically to submission grappling, to BJJ, to Jiu-Jitsu, and the one we're talking about today is Kimura. And Kimura is kind of weird. It's a fascinating lock, lots of different ways you can hit it. I'm going to share a story in just a minute about how I got my elbow messed up from it, but that led to a conversation that we were having that was kind of fascinating to me because I bring this up a lot, but I'm just making stuff off the top of my head. I don't have the education or background or medical expertise that Carlos does, so for him to explain it to me has been really interesting to me. Why on Kimura sometimes it seems like the shoulder that's being attacked isn't always the primary injury. I've seen things from the humerus getting broken. I've had my own elbow ripped up from it. I've seen wrist injuries, everything off of this. And so some of the reasons why is that happening?
Yeah, that's really interesting because a lot of people do think that Kimura is going to attack the shoulder, but the thing is, there is a lot of freedom inside of the shoulder capsule. The capsule itself is pretty strong. You've got a lot of musculature that we talked about. Frankly, you don't have a whole, look at this, you don't have a lot of bony attachment of your shoulder to the rest of your body. In fact, the only thing that attaches your shoulder to your body via a joint is right here. Everything else is dynamic stabilization. Your sternoclavicular joint isn't that strong, but man, you got big muscles around here. And if you get into a position where you can torque the elbow, it actually has got more freedom of motion in it, but if the position, which you showed me, we'll go into in a second, where the legs have locked around the elbow, man, that is going to be a failure point, and it's definitely south of the shoulder, and the elbow's in trouble.
Yeah, so this is the weird one that happened to me a while back. This was several years ago, and basically my training partner he started like a crucifix kind of setup. So he had this leg hooked here, but there's a rolling kind of Kimura. It's not an omoplata. It rolls like an omoplata, but it's built like a Kimura. So basically what you do, you bring the arm to this side of the head here. You may even reach down and try to grab at the elbow or the tricep to roll over this shoulder now. So whenever I roll, he can stay here, but it's going to rip his arm completely off his body. So typically he'll roll with me on the way through. And when we come up, I'm going to continue the motion to come up like this here. So whenever we get to this position like this, let's put this there, and I come up, I'm going to try to cover his body so he doesn't sit right back up and alleviate the pressure. And then I'm going to keep sitting up. Typically I'll figure four. I'm trying to be nice right now, but I'll figure four and I'll keep rising up here. And what's going to happen is going to keep pulling that shoulder back. Now, if his hand maybe gets stuck on the mat too, or if depending on where my leg is located, the pressure might go into the elbow, because that's what happened to me, and it was extremely painful. Popped my elbow pretty good. So what happened?
So just as we had described, I don't know if you noticed there, but if you go back in that video, you'll see how much my shoulder was allowed to protract. I mean, there's just a ton of motion between my shoulder blade and my rib cage, and that's what you're eating up as far as range goes. But at a certain point, there's no more room, and now that elbow really actually did start to bother me. It's very similar to an injury that happens in the compressive sort of setup, but this is to more of the soft tissues on the outside. And so there are a number of different things that you can do to alleviate this if you get stuck in there, but really recognizing first that the shoulder isn't the only thing you need to sort of be aware of in a position like that is vital and going to keep you from getting injured.
Yeah, so this is really fascinating to me, and we're going to continue this conversation. So what we're doing in this collaborative series is that we're looking at mechanics of different moves that can lead to injury that I've probably personally experienced, most likely. And we're kind of breaking those down. I'm breaking down the mechanics maybe of the technique, and then we're kind of pitching it over to Carlos from the physiological side of it to explain what happened, maybe some things that we can do to prevent that kind of injury or rehab that kind of injury, which is just as important, if not more important. So anyway, make sure that you check out BJJ Physio on all the socials, but go to bjj-physio.com, and you can also kind of do some little self-diagnosis there and some really cool tools on that. Be sure to check it out, and also go over there to see the rest of this where he talks about different things that we can do to maybe fix this injury or prevent this injury.